Coach, we're ready for your opening comments as the questions are coming in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not one of our better games. You got to give Iona a ton of credit. I thought their kids came ready to play. They got some good players. Obviously, Coach Pitino had them well prepared. I thought Ross gave us all kinds of problems in the first half. I thought difference between the two halves was our defense on Ross. We held them to 4 points in the second half after 15 in the first half. Then I thought our turnover problem in the first half. We went from 10 turnovers in the first half to only 4 in the second half. So our points per possession went from like a 0.89 to a 1.21 in the second half when we quit turning the ball over. Like when you turn the ball over and you don't make free throws, you put a lot of pressure on your offense. So the free throws were an issue, which hopefully we can get that fixed. Just guys that typically are better shooters. Quinterly left 4 points out there. I think he missed the front end of a one-on-one twice. Petty's a great shooter. Those 3 of 8. He's been a good shooter all year for us. So, those guys left a lot of points on the board. And then, the turnovers were a problem. But Iona came ready to play. Our guys, I thought our effort was great. I just thought maybe, got some NCAA game jitters. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. But hopefully getting that first game out of the way, getting the win even when we didn't play well. I thought our defense was pretty good, especially there in the second half. So, if you look at the effort stuff, on the glass, we beat them by 16. It was 42-26. So I thought a lot of the effort stuff we did great at. We just got to settle down and play a better offensive game.
Our first question comes from Cecil Hurt. Cecil, your line is now open.
Coach, didn't handle the last minute of the first half very well. What did you say at halftime, and how did you think they responded?
Yeah, I mean, I think we up 8 with under 2 minutes to go, and went in. They go on a 7-0 run, maybe. I walked in and just said we got to settle down. I mean, like it just seemed to me like guys were uptight, guys were not playing like we'd been used to them playing. We had some really dumb, careless turnovers. So, I didn't want to put any extra added pressure. I felt like they'd already putting way too much pressure on themselves to begin with, and I with some of our guys that typically play well that weren't playing well. So we just need to settle down, lock in, control the stuff we can control. I thought, the effort stuff is stuff we can control, but I told them we weren't giving our defense a chance to win the game for us when we were turning the ball over 10 times. So I told them if we control, and even at the end there, when we gave up the 7-0 run at the half, they hit the 3 off a turnover. I think we had a couple turnovers. So just told them to settle in, take care of the ball, no more iffy home run plays. And we tried to tell them that at the beginning of the game, just reiterated it again at halftime. I think we did a much better job there in the second half. I know we had 4 in the second half, and I think we had 2 in the first 4 minutes. So the last 16 minutes of the second half, we only had 2 turnovers. That's when we kind of settled in, took care of the ball. Offense turned up a little bit. I had defense, too. In the last 10 minutes of the game, I think they scored a total of 9 points. They had 46, I believe, with just under 10 to go, and finished with 9, kind of in that middle of that. We had kind of opened the game up there. It was a 2-point game, and then we stretched it up to, I think, up to 12 maybe. We were down 2, and then an 18-4 run. So I thought Reese was huge in that run. He had the 2 threes, and Juwan Gary was big there too.
Our next question comes from Michael Casagrande. Michael, your line is now open.
Hey, just what's the message to John Petty? I know he was struggling a little bit to shoot out there tonight. What's the message moving forward to the next game?
He just got to settle down and quit putting pressure on himself. I thought he played really hard. He won the hard hat award. He had more blue collar points than anybody. He was all over the glass. He led us in rebounding with 7. So he wants to win at a high level. He did a great job on Gist when we needed him to come in and guard Gist. But he's a really talented, skilled offensive player. Just let the offense come. So, I don't know what the deal was at the free throw line, but he's a lot better shooter than that. Even from 3, he's 1 for 5. I thought he shied away from maybe, he didn't take, did he take a 3 in the second half? Was he 1 for 5 at the half, I think maybe? Yeah, I don't think he took one in the second half, but he was aggressive, got downhill, got some easy ones, got out in transition off some stops. So he's still, probably one of his worst shooting games when you take threes and free throws together, and he still ended up with double-digit points. So he played really hard, did what we needed to win, and let's move on to the next game. He'll play a lot better in the next game.
Our next question comes from Tyler Martin. Tyler, your line is now open.
Hey, Coach. Herb said he would have given the grade for this win a C. As a former teacher, is that where it would be on your scale? What would you give the grade?
What did Herb say he'd give the grade?
He said C.
He's generous. C means average. It's definitely not our average. We, and again, Iona came with a great plan, did a good job. I mean, look, defensively, give us a B. Offensively, we're probably a D. So maybe put the two of them together and maybe call it a C. But defensively in the second half, we're pretty close to. We're really good. I think what was our second half? Second half defense was pretty good. I thought we've got our analytics box score up now. First half, yeah, we were at .79 in the second half before they called it analytically final there with 1:14 to go. So thought defensively that's pretty good. A minus, B plus on defense. Offense, we were not very good.
Our next question comes from Steve Moulton. Steve, your line is open.
Coach, congratulations on the win. March wins are always precious. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, you mentioned about defense and how well you played defensively, but that rush there under 10, especially the couple of steals that turned into transition buckets. How big was that in terms of gaining momentum under 10 to go?
I mean, it won the game, to be honest with you. I mean, we needed to break the thing open. You think about the steal when Petty had the one and Juwan had the one. Juwan goes to the line, goes 2 for 2 at the line. It was big. I thought Juwan was great tonight. He's been great for us. Herb got the steal and the dunk. Herb, Petty, Juwan made big defensive plays. So we need everybody really stepping up that way. And that's what we tried to tell these guys coming in. Like, you can get yourself some easy buckets by getting some runouts, off stops and getting to the offensive boards. I think that's what Petty did. I mean, you look at what, Petty hit the 1-3. He had double-digit points. I mean, shoot, our second leading scorer had 11 in Quinterly, and Petty and Shaq both had 10 each. This was not one of our better offensive displays, but, Petty's our third leading scorer with 10, and he didn't play very good at all, but he went and got some easy buckets, some transition buckets off steals, some board putbacks. He had 2 offensive boards. So he found a way to help us win, and I think all of our guys really kind of just found a way to break that thing open there in the second half, running off our stops.
Our next question comes from Drew DeArmond, and your line is open, Drew.
Yeah, Coach, I just wanted to ask you about the bench as a whole. Reese has just sacrificed a lot for this team. He made 2 huge threes, played some good defense on Junior Joseph in the second half, and then Juwan made some big-time plays defensively. And then, of course, Quinterly had the huge drive and layup to keep the lead at 9 with about a minute to go.
Yeah, the bench was great. I mean, Juwan, Reese, and JQ scored 23 points between the three of them. It was big. Quinterly's been used to scoring at a high level. I mean, Quinterly's essentially a starter, but we bring him off the bench, and, we need to keep him out of foul trouble. He needs to play more than 21 minutes for us. But, I thought the contributions Juwan gave us were huge as they've been, and those 2 threes that Reese hit were like game-opening threes. I couldn't be happier for a kid. I think he's just had a great attitude all year. I thought he was great defensively tonight for us. I thought I couldn't be happier for Reese. I mean, look, I'm looking right now. Our defense. We've got the defensive analysis. When as a team we were at a .82 tonight, and Reese was a .74 when he was in the game. So we were much better defensively when Reese was in the game than when he wasn't. And you look at our bench guys. Those 3 guys we're talking about. Like, offense turns into defense. Like Quinterly was a .65 on D. Juwan Gary was a .68, and Reese was a .74. So all those guys, we were a lot better defensively when they were in the game, and then that defense turned into offense, which was the case. Now we got to get some of our starting group to be a lot better defensively than what we need them to be or than what they were tonight. But I thought those guys off the bench were great for us tonight.
Our last question comes from Kevin McCaskill. Kevin, your line is now open.
Kevin McCaskill Jr., FP Sports, Springfield, Massachusetts. How has Herbert Jones impacted your program the past 2 seasons?
I mean, Herb's kind of the lifeline of our program, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Petty are 2 senior leaders. He's the SEC Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. It's happened 3 times in the history of the SEC. So that speaks to the respect that he's got from the media and the coaches in the SEC. You know, he does all the little stuff we need him to do to win. He did all the little stuff last year. You know, he had his left hand in a cast, pulls down 17 rebounds in a big win against LSU. You know, he just shows up to work every day. He shows up to play hard. He shows up and makes winning plays every day. You know, now in this game, biggest game of, you know, essentially these guys' careers, we put ourselves in a great spot with a 2 seed to, you know, come out and make a run. And, you know, we're struggling, and he puts us on his back and, you know, kind of carries us. He has 20 and 6 tonight. You know, he got to the rim. He's the only guy that went 100% at the free throw line. He goes 4 for 4. So I thought he was really locked in. You know, his leadership's been great. The culture's changed a lot in the 2 years we've been there. You know, he's been at the heart of that culture change, and I just, you know, you can't sing his praises enough.
Coach, that's it. Congratulations. Best of luck in the next round. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks.